Yeah.
Do you mind if I copy these?
Go for it.
Okay. And can you get out the...
What's that, Danielle?
book?
I said safe drive and starting with snow.
Uh-oh. What did you need, John?
Joke today. What?
Yeah, that book. That's still...
Everything you need is right there.
Okay. What I was saying. You were saying words. Yeah. But just... I'm coming back. All my stuff's over there. Yeah. The copy is here. I mean, you can... You're basically just generic hero X that's doing some things.
Right.
I mean, one of my favorite things one of the gaming groups that I had in the Navy, I mean, it was very diverse. Somebody was playing a paladin, and they were playing them very well. They weren't like the...
lawful stupid.
Yeah. I mean, they still went within the realms of,
But they weren't playing it stupidly.
But it's like, we also live in the real world. Yeah. And there was a guy that was, he was actually...
looking for something solo?
He was actually playing an assassin, but I let him play as a lawful neutral character, because basically his character concept was that he was playing a Dungeons and Dragons James Bond. He was an assassin for the king.
What? I got distracted.
No, just we had a paladin there, but I also had a guy playing assassin, I let him be lawful neutral because the way he justified it. Because
that's a tricky one, yeah.
Well, okay, look at it.
But no, I get it. I've understood that argument. I've done it myself.
Like if you think of like a Navy SEAL sniper.
I understand.
And the thing is, it was very, and everybody, they actually played their alignments really well, and you had the things.
And the key was they had that guidance from the alignment, and there were consequences if they didn't, and that's all gone in later editions.
And the thing is, I still remember this gaming group because, there's going to be squabbles, but they played them through well. They role played it all out.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, a lot of good books, you've got people with very diverse goals.
Yep.
And sometimes...
And morally conflicted.
Yeah.
Boromir.
Oh, yeah. And so, instead of, reinforcing that and making people role play, it's just, that's hard, we'll take it out.
Right. And you're right.
And, it's sad because I think a lot of players coming up, this being their first experience in role-playing games, they're missing a lot of the richness.
And that's why we're adjusting our Tier 1 offerings.
Mm-hmm. Well, and... Like, the last time we were playing at Uncle's, I was running the thing that I'm doing Thursday, and, I haven't played 5th edition nearly as much, and they were just mowing things down left and right. So, I wasn't...
It's really hard for characters to die in 5th edition.
So what I just did was I kept throwing...
Although John manages.
I kept throwing in extra mobs.
I have practice.
Yes, lots of it.
Extra difficulties, and, made it what I thought would be a more realistic... kind of situation.
Right.
But I don't think I should have to pile on like that.
See, that's the problem with point inflation. I forgot to make that point. When you do this point inflation that your characters are this powerful, now you have to make the world and all the monsters that much more powerful to make them a challenge. And so we talk about flow state. You make it that much harder to get in flow state if you don't get the right balance of challenge. And you've compressed your range of opportunity for flow state. Because if your range is now only here... right? You have less to work with. So people max out on a campaign like, well, I'll just start over or something. Yeah.
So I think this is kind of an interesting thing that is so unique to role-playing games, is this idea that for most games, it has to be, the challenge level has more to do with like dexterity or something else. So they give more leeway in those games, whereas this one, those people, like, we have the weirdest confliction because we have the need for it to actually be tough on the thing, because you're only playing one character, and there's no restarts and no respawns, and going back to a saved point. So we kind of have this, like, unique thing about us in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, distinctive aspects, yeah.
Yeah, the journey is more important than the treasure box at the end.
Yeah.
You were talking about alignments earlier.
Exactly opposite, yeah.
Riley?
you've been talking about how like they all start out super strong, and it actually I think it was yesterday that I was thinking about creating a campaign where every character starts out as a commoner.
Yes.
10 stats
There are
everywhere.
rules for that.
And yeah, and there's like stuff of in the DMG they have stuff for if like a player wants to learn a new language, they spend like a year learning it.
Yep.
And they slowly progress, and like and so. Like,
See, and that was where they were trying to compromise on that by putting those alternate rules in there, which I'm glad they did.
See,
because those are very different play styles.
I haven't really plundered the alternate rules, so
yeah, DMG. DMG makes it better.
But I don't know. I mean,
and Google Hawk's D&D 5th edition house rules.
Yeah,
it's PDF.
I think 5th edition was definitely a good step back in a lot of ways because 4th edition. I mean,
I want to play 4th edition.
As far as I'm concerned,
that's right. You want to borrow it, take it.
4th edition was. They were basically trying to be World of Warcraft.
Multiple
my
copies.
biggest
Right
problem
there,
was it's like you have one encounter.
There's a box set that you take.
And it takes the whole doggone night to resolve.
Always more than one.
Yeah. It's just
why? That's a
why?
supplement. It's an add-on.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's just like, why would you? I don't know.
Yeah.
It took. I mean, basically, 4th edition was just a completely bring your dice, don't bring your brain.
Well, it was a video game war game.
Yeah.
That
and
it nearly put them out of business.
I mean, some people they love 4th edition for why.
Very few. They're definitely a small minority. But it appeals to a certain style of play. And again, I don't want to poo-poo a certain style of play. Our way is not the only way. Our way is not the only right way.
I think
my main concern is maximum enjoyment and longevity of a group, in a safe, enjoyable, and inclusive environment.
I think the majority of the people that really loved 5th edition were the people that this was their first introduction.
You mean 4th edition?
4th edition, yes.
Yeah, because whatever you cut your teeth on, it's all new, and there's a magic to that first time.
Yeah.
There is a magic to that.
Although, it's funny because I remember when the Unearthed Arcana came out, there was some stuff I thought, they kind of went too far with.
Sure, yeah. It was Dragon Magazine stuff.
But it added a lot of stuff to it, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I liked it. I was tickled, and you can see it's used heavily. Oriole Adventures, I love. They did some awesome stuff with Oriole Adventures,
I thought
which really felt like they brought it together, right? They really had. It was kind of AD&D Revision B.
Yeah.
They really cleaned it up nicely.
I thought there were some things that were a little bit too complex, but it definitely added a whole new depth.
But the complexity fit Japanese culture. Is the thing. The complexity was like, that's the way things are, and you got to deal with that.
Yeah, and that part I did like.
Yeah, that's why Lillian likes that too.
When 2nd edition first came out, I was really resistant because they're going to have to reinvent everything. But
they didn't change it that much. It really didn't change.
Well, that's the thing.
much.
Once I delved into the rulebooks and started looking.
3rd edition, they changed everything. 2nd edition didn't change that much. I just was like, I don't need to start over.
And
I was
I
so
wish
resistant when 3rd edition came out.
Hadn't saw it as starting over as in just was a progression because, like you said, 1st to 2nd edition wasn't that big of a change. It was just progression.
Yeah.
If
they made everything all over again. If they would have added to it like this,
right,
and Oriole Adventures and stuff, I would have kept buying.
Well, 3rd edition had the same
But they wanted me to start over. Yeah, they wanted me to start all over.
The 3.5.
Yeah.
And you really
3rd was because it was broken. They had so many problems.
Plus, 3rd edition, you're
3.5,
starting
they
with a whole
fixed
new
it.
company. Because that's when Wizards took over, right?
I thought they took over midway through 2nd.
No. Well, I think they bought the rights after 2nd, but they revamped it.
Yeah, they revamped it, but I mean, there was an overlap there, transition, right?
I think there was a gap period where 2nd edition.
After Lori Battle stopped harassing Gygax in the 90s, she shut him down every time. He kept coming out with great new products, and she would sue him, and it was a totally personal thing. So screwed him. Did you ever see any of the stuff Gygax came out with independently? I've got a few of his little things.
I haven't actually.
Yeah, I've got a few. These I've never used, so these are more on the collector side.
You were talking about alignments. I played a lawful good rogue.
Oh yeah.
He's a security expert. Yeah. His job is to
Did you
figure
ever
out
read Gygax's novels, Gord the Thief? He did a whole novel series. They were good. I liked them. They were. I don't know if they hold up now, but as a teenager, I enjoyed them.
I mean, you could almost.
It was
Roka?
Dragonheist days.
What was his thing called? It was Journeys.
Gord of Greyhawk.
No, the new when he's tried to make a new D&D game.
He did 2 or 3 that she kept shutting down.
Because she was a horrible.
So I've got a they're kind of all together.
So at the libraries, you guys have 3D printers, right?
At the Valley Library, there is a 3D printer. Yes.
Because if you wanted like a place to find D&D characters, there's a guy out there who's basically just made files for free for anyone to use.
Yes, I'm aware of these,
Yeah.
and they're awesome. Here's the problem with the libraries 3D printer.
Is it really small? Or?
Well, it's small. I mean, it'll make all the miniatures. It'll make the miniatures.
Yeah.
No problem. They'll make even the gargantuan size miniatures. No problem. But I requested something in October.
Well,
I still haven't got it.
For what?
I asked. No, here's this. I asked for
gotcha.
a coin to be printed, a single coin,
Yeah.
and we still haven't got it.
Wait, did you ask the library or did you ask?
I put it in the queue to be printed on their 3D printer. They now have 2, so they should be picking up. And I heard they're going to get a Glowforge.
Okay.
But they had 1 3D printer. They now have 2, and it was, takes all day to print something. And there's a lot of people who want stuff. So it takes forever to get whatever you wanted to get printed. But when you win the lottery and you buy us a 3D printer,
I win the lottery?
and look, I've been trying. I haven't been able
He's
to.
not even old enough to enter the lottery.
Yeah, that is a good point.
You're asking me to do it? Okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah. So when you're 18, you need to buy a lottery ticket.
So
First
here's
one.
some oldie goodies.
So I can rip these up, right?
Is this Blue Hill?
Well, I've got Boot Hill right here,
Yeah.
which is the Western role-playing game. But no, these are different. Well, these are all, So, some of these are Gygax, some there's no metal. Yeah. I think they're all Gygax.
Blue Hill right
Yeah,
now.
that's a Boot Hill map.
Star Frontier. I love Star Frontier.
Have a great night.
Okay,
Night,
good
good
night.
Night.
I'm recording this, so if you want to see it later.
Okay.
Yeah, Star Frontiers.
I will definitely try.
Okay. Star Frontiers Adventure Module, Mark Ayers, Tom Mulvoy, and Doug Niles.
We might
That
see
was
that
their
come
sci-fi.
back.
Okay. Judges Guild, Operation Ogre.
Couple George's Guild ones.
So, but this was third-party stuff that they got permission to make,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, really primitive, Trial by Fire, Laura's Tower. Okay, and then this was Gygax Fantasy Master. The new Infinities Productions Incorporated. This was very short-lived because of glory battles, harassment, and, very familiar style.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't remember if I ever ran it or not. But he's if you look at the list of stuff he tried to publish, there was some really creative, innovative stuff that he's kept getting shut down and shut down and shut down. It was such a disappointment.
It was you can't.
Oh, yeah.
It's not enough for us
It
to
was
see.
personal.
You
It was
must fail.
totally personal. Okay, so it wasn't glued on; it was just stuck on. Still needs to be glued.
It was frozen on. You manipulated it and therefore warmed it up enough. All right. Oh my gosh.
Well, it's got extra character sheets and stuff in it. So.
Okay.
So
I will
yeah.
have Arrow, do you know when I'm going to do Arrow Down?
We haven't. We need to. So, and Danielle's gone now.
She's
We've got to hurry.
she's on the schedule already
Yeah.
to finish the one we're already playing.
Yeah. Let's take a look.
Sometime
Because
after
we've got
that, I should do
because the
our-
20th is when we're supposed to do our first session over there at the school.
So I obviously need to be able to do that
Yeah.
here
before.
once before that.
At least.
I need to practice.
You bet.
You can do it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
If
going
you
to have
can.
to.
Yeah. All right. So today,
I'm trying to spend some time with my wife today.
of course. So is anybody running anything the 9th? This 9th
Oh.
for the workshop?
No idea.
I don't think anybody's running this Saturday.
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
In 5 days.
Yep.
Yes.
Is that too little time for you? I understand if it is. I'm just.
I'm going to say yes. Can you give me one
Well,
more
the
week?
following weekend is Valentine's Day weekend.
So you're going to cancel everything for the whole weekend?
No. I'm just saying for some people they do Valentine's Day on Saturday.
We're doing Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day.
Okay, so you're okay with the 16th? Just
Yes.
4 days before you'll be at the school?
It's either that or not at all, right?
All right, so that's what I'll do then. So,
Okay.
John, run, Dr. Who intro. All right.
And I'll try to think of ways that I can be a better
Riley, do you want to be at that
storyteller
one or
than
not?
Carla.
No, that's 2 weekends. from
2
now.
weeks away, yeah. It's the 16th.
I'll say yes unless something
Oh,
comes
did
up.
Carla
Okay,
give
but
us
I'll
copies?
put you an invite there.
Does
What?
this contain the copies of the extra things that Carla's made for hers?
I don't think so. I think they're just my character sheet copies I made. But could be. I don't know.
I'm going to have to beg Carla for her extra notes.
Could be. I don't know.
What is this?
That is the local Wi-Fi access point, so you can have Wi-Fi here now.
Now you tell me.
I have said it over and over, and you've not been here every time I said it. I said it 3 times tonight.
Yeah, you're in the
But you
bathroom
kept stepping
watching
out and
it
stuff,
go
yeah.
out.
I said it on yesterday's show as well. I've been saying it over. I set that up this week. So now we have Wi-Fi here. It's a different network name, but it's the same password.
That's fine. I'll just take it off my data when I come in here now.
Sorry. He is going to be running Doctor Who for his run through on the 16th. It's a Saturday
Okay.
workshop. Do you want to be at that? Be invited?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay.
Is that going to be here?
Yeah, it'll be
Okay.
here. Yeah. Because we've got the school clients, and we're offering Doctor Who and says Star Wars, and he doesn't actually run that yet. So it's going to be kind of down to the wire.
It's fine. You can just wing it.
Well, it's rules light enough that if he can just get it, he's played a couple times now. He just needs a good chance to jam it through, and then he'll be fine. He's an experienced GM. He can handle it. Any experienced GM can just throw us in and give us a little bit of time. We can make it work. So it may not be perfect, but it'll work. The players won't know. All right, so that's 9 a.m. to noon then. So I've got you on the invitation.
Yeah, it's right there. Look at that.
Alrighty then.
Can I just use this character for Thursday? I made it for the exact same campaign, and I died in it. So I want to see if I can do it again without.
Sure. I don't know. It's up to the GM. Ask the GM.
What is it?
It's a barbarian, half-elf barbarian.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Sweet.
Yeah, that would be very fun.
I'm just gonna leave it in here. No, it's gonna. If it can
One of
stay
his
in there.
many attempts before Lord, but every time Lord Battle would shut him down. He put out a lot of interesting, innovative stuff that just kept getting shut down.
Huh?
So that's post his firing.
Yeah, see, this is how adventure should be.
Yeah, nice, clean, clear.
Crappy art, good maps, lots
Yep.
of charts.
Here's some nostalgia for you. Judges Guild. I used to have City State of the Invincible or whatever, but it's long gone. 2 others. Operation Over and Trial by Fire. And then Star Frontiers.
Oh, yeah!
And I do have Boot Hill.
I never did get to play that. I always thought that would be fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun. Mostly it's the setting. The mechanics. So, Gygax railed against crit systems and detailed systems and all that, right, for years.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do with Boot Hill? Detailed combat crit systems to hit locations, all of that.
Well, yeah, but when you're dealing with the Old West, you know, because
Yeah,
Hopalong Cassidy always shot him in the
shooting,
hand.
exactly. He had to be able to address all those issues. So, it made sense. It's a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun playing that with friends. Been a long time since and there's very hard to find any Wild West role-playing games that are not like zombie related or something.
Well, I think part of the problem is that that's just, I mean, whether you're talking about literature, whatever, Old West stuff is not as
It's a
popular.
different generation. Well, except it's had kind of with Red Dead Redemption, because of video games and stuff, and some of the movies that have come out have all been westerns. Because I got corrected on this. I assumed the same thing. So I was talking to my son who's 19, my youngest one, and he's like, no, all my friends are into Western stuff because of Red Dead and some movie that just came out with Brad Pitt or something, and there have been like a bunch of Western movies. I'm out of the loop on that. I didn't know. So there is one, there's something like Aces and Eights or the Old West role-playing game that is available. I can't remember if it's available in hard copy though, but like it's one of the few that's actually in print, being published, that is a clean Old West game. And I keep meaning to go grab that to try it out, because I'd love to have that in our tier 2. Or something.
Well, and especially, yeah, I hadn't really thought about that because, but my youngest, he thinks it's and one of the things that I think is really cool is that it's so, I mean, first of all, it's very pretty, but it's, I figured since it was going to be, like the people who made Grand Theft Auto, I thought it was just going to be, You're
talking about Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure I figure what you were talking about.
Yeah. But you, I mean, you can't just...
Grand Theft Equestrian.
Yes, Grand Theft Equestrian, yes. That's exactly what it is. But it is beautifully done, yeah.
But you also, you can't get away with stuff as much.
Right, there's a cumulative consequence if you keep doing stuff. Yeah.
And that, I think, is good because, I mean, I'll admit that for a stretch, like, I played it mostly when I was working at the post office, but I would come home and I would play Grand Theft Auto and just like burn off steam and just.
So you were working at a post office, and to avoid going postal, you were playing Grand Theft Auto. Is that what you just said? Okay.
Because I go and stuff that you can't do in real life. You walk up to a person in the street and you physically beat them down until they're dead.
Out of their car, carjack them, run from the cops,
and then
smash the cops.
And I would.
So that is the debated topic of catharsis, is the term.
And I wouldn't normally play for more than like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just like
Yeah. So proponents of catharsis say that that's a thing that helps you. That it's a healthy outlet for energy, negative energies, psychic energies that are building up, and I don't mean like telepathy psychic, I mean, psychology.
But I think it's very much...
Detractors say it's reinforcing behavior, that you're modeling the behavior and making what you do is what you get better at.
Reinforcing, I think you have to be that type of person. I mean, in real life, I'm a very passive...
I'm not against catharsis. I've seen catharsis work many times.
Yeah.
I think both arguments have merit depending upon how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about it occasionally to blow off steam, I think that's totally healthy. Mm-hmm. Whether it's going to the gym or blowing things up in a video game, you got some benefit from it.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get more physical, like with Wii or something like that. But,
sure.
But if you do it all the time, then you're ingraining things in your brain, a certain pattern of behavior and adrenaline and everything that can be harmful. So again, it's not all or nothing. It's not one extreme. It's where, it depends on what you do. So I don't think catharsis is all or nothing. It's really... So there's been empirical studies that have disproven catharsis and empirical studies that have supported it, not as well, they're not as strong. But I think that there's some merit to it, but it has to be balanced.
Well, I think...
And I'm glad you took it out on Grand Theft Auto and didn't go postal.
And it's a really bad stereotype because if you look at actual incidences...
There's very few. I know.
The post office is actually one of the safest workplaces.
They get a total bad rap because of like one guy.
News.
Yeah, there have been far worse mass shootings than the guy who went postal once or twice.
And there's a video game that's, I'm pretty sure it's called Postal.
Yeah.
It's basically Grand Theft Auto, except you were a postal worker who just goes around going crazy on everything.
Goodness gracious. Yeah.
And just to let you know, by the way, Riley, I wasn't going to do the standard pre-gens just because I was going to make some up, but I wasn't going to use the ones that came with whatever, just because I thought it would be fun and different.
Fine. Whatever you like.
And
it's your baseline.
Well, and because I actually do better when things. Yeah.
Do my baseline.
Yeah. But I actually do better when I can be a little more creative.
Great.
So
go for it.
I wanted to give people a wide range of. Plus, like I say, I would prefer people play what they like to play.
Yep.
Because I just think it's more fun. And you know what? If the party's imbalanced, tough.
It's one shot.
Yeah, that too.
One shot.
My party right now is 3 druids, 2 rogues, and a bard. And we have to...
bard balances all out.
Not in 5th edition, no. And he's not even...
That's what I played on Spartan Show as a dwarf bard.
Yeah. But
Do you ever watch any of those episodes?
no.
I'm
I sing live on the air sometimes.
Gosh.
I play the mandolin and stuff.
Sweet.
He made me do it.
He made you do it.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I have a total, like everything else, public speaking is no problem, but singing, I have an absolute phobia. I do it anyway, I force myself, but I'm terrified singing in front of people. I do it all the time. At Adventures of Middle-earth, for Eves of Mirkwood, John makes me come up and sing in front of the players all the time, at the conventions, stuff like that. I do it, I face my fear, but it's a strong fear. It's the only real big one that I have. It's really weird. Like, I've jumped off of cliffs. I have a fear of heights, but it's a mild fear of heights compared to my fear of singing in front of people. I grew up with a mom who was an opera singer. Was offered to go to the Met, and she was president of the Arizona Opera Company later for a brain injury.
Okay,
so,
I can see why that.
So
would
I
be intimidating.
know what a really good singer sounds like, and that's not me. So all I hear is my own internal criticisms, and it's much harder to control. I play over 20 instruments. I can control those. This is really hard to control. And if your voice is a little phlegmy, or your ears are a little plugged, your nose a little, it's all wrong. And you can't rely on what you hear yourself. It has to be how it feels, right? If you rely on how it sounds, you're doing it wrong. You have to do it on how it feels. This is a very complex musical instrument compared to all the others. Oh my goodness.
Can you play the didgeridoo?
Yeah, I've got one right above the piano.
Yeah.
I can't do the circular breathing, but I can play it. I can do the wob, wob, wob. I have to take in breaths and stuff. I can't do the circular breathing. But
Yeah, in one of
I
my
can fake
groups,
it.
there was a bard who had a didgeridoo, and then
Sure.
she brought in a didgeridoo.
One of the world's
Yeah.
oldest drone instruments.
Yeah.
And I have a double gourd sitar as well, which is like the oldest string drone instrument. So I have it's actually from India. It's made of actual gourds and such. Yeah. I'm into a lot of ethnic instruments. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
So I have a question.
Yes. Shoot.
How in older versions of D&D did they enforce the alignment system?
Mostly you lose your abilities. So if you're a paladin and you go against your alignment, you lose all your. You just become a regular fighter. You lose all your special abilities. Thief doesn't really matter. I forget there are. It's been a while since I had to enforce an alignment penalty because usually people just tried to stay within. I'd warn them and go, "Hey, you're getting a little evil here." Like, "Oh, I'll bring it in." So for some of the classes like thief and such, the penalties were relatively minor, but there were consequences. I'd have to look at it. But yeah, changing alignment caused some. There was always consequences to changing your alignment.
Okay.
Well, it's part of the reason why you needed gods around, because that's sometimes.
Well,
where it came
you
from.
didn't have to, but sometimes it could be. If you're a cleric or something, you'd lose all your spells. You couldn't be a cleric anymore because you went against your deity's wishes. Magic users didn't have the same. So there were some classes that it mattered more than others. But generally,
I think it was
and
kind
the world treated you differently too. Your allies would no longer be your allies, and a lot of things would change if you changed your alignment. And then Gygax went crazy with it in Tomb of Horrors and reverse your alignment and your gender. There's a room in there that you get. You walk in and everybody's alignment and gender gets reversed.
Sounds like.
That's
You
why
just
it's
listen to
Con
that
Air.
sort of people. What?
Nothing.
But that means everybody who's lawful good and chaotic, it like goes diagonally. So lawful good becomes chaotic evil.
We also remember
Chaotic good becomes lawful evil, right? It's really, yeah. So all of a sudden, and you're in a 10 by 10 room or something. It's like a tiny space, and you all become evil all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think part of it was like, because like a thief, you reversed all and stuff, but you weren't necessarily powerful, so you didn't necessarily need the alignment enforcement.
Right.
And paladins were a very powerful.
Yeah, that was a huge
And so
consequence.
you
to
needed something
paladins.
to kind of hold them in check.
Yes, rigid code of conduct and alignment.
And if you think about it, a magic user has to work very hard to get his spells. A
Changing
cleric just
alignment.
has to pray.
Changing alignment. Whether or not the character actually, how easy it was to find in the table of contents, no trouble. Whether or not the character actively professes some deity, he or she will have an alignment and serve one or more deities of this general alignment indirectly and unbeknownst to the character. Changing of alignment is a serious matter, although some players would have their characters change alignment as often as they change socks. Not so! Exclamation mark. First, change of alignment for clerics can be very serious, as it might cause a change of deity. If a druid changes their alignment, remember they have to be absolute neutral, becomes other than neutral, then he or she is no longer a druid at all. Change of alignment will have an adverse effect on any class of character if he or she is above the second level. So they give you a chance at first level to kind of figure out who you are. Immediately upon alignment change actually occurring, the character concerned will lose one level of experience, dropping experience points to take them to the very beginning of the next lower level, losing the hit dice and or hit points, and all abilities which accrued to him or her with the lost level. If the alignment change is involuntary, such as that caused by a powerful magic, curse, etc., then the character can regain all the losses, level, hit dice, etc., upon returning to his or her former alignment as soon as is possible, and after making atonement through a character of the same alignment. And sacrificing treasure, which has a value of not less than 10,000 gold pieces per level of experience of the character. So if you're 5th level, that's 50,000 gold piece offering. The sacrificial amount is variable, so use your best judgment, this is the DMG, as to the total and what and where it should go. Magic items to build up the NPC cleric, money out of the campaign, magic items out of the campaign, etc. Similarly, such atonement and sacrifice can be accomplished by a quest. Note that, so that's a good one. That's a good hook. Trying to get your good back.
Yep, see?
Get your mojo back. I lost my mojo, baby.
Gosh.
Note that in all likelihood the character will desire to retain the new alignment, and it is incumbent upon you as a DM to ensure that the player acts accordingly. Some equally powerful means, divine intervention, remove curse, etc., must be used to restore the original alignment before atonement can begin. Characters who knowingly or unknowingly change alignment through forethought or actions permanently lose the experience points and level due to disfavor. They must also, so when they talk about the gods of alignment, it's kind of like the Michael Moorcock, chaos and law. Mm-hmm. Like there weren't always separate deities or manifestations. There was just a general energy that things you tapped into. I think that's what he's kind of referencing here, sort of. They must also accept a severe disability in alignment language, because that was one thing he did I never got into, is the whole alignment language. Like, if you're neutral good, you could speak neutral and good alignment tongues and such. It was kind of a weird thing. Until the character has again achieved his or her former level of experience held prior to change of alignment, he or she will not be able to converse in the former alignment's tongue, nor will anything but the rudest signaling be possible in the new alignment language. Although it is possible for a character to allow him or herself to be blown by the winds as far as alignment is concerned, he or she will pay a penalty which will effectively damn the character to oblivion. A glance at the alignment chart will show that radical alignment change is impossible without magical means. If one is chaotic good, it is possible to change to neutral good or chaotic neutral only, depending upon desire and or actions. From the absolute neutral alignment, one can only move to sub-neutral based alignment. This represents the fact that the character must divorce himself or herself from certain precepts and views and wholeheartedly embrace another set of values, and human nature is such that without radically personality alteration, such as caused by insanity or magic in the case of this game, such transition must be gradual. It is assumed that the character's initial alignment has been his or hers for a considerable period prior to the character's emergence as an adventurer. This ethos will not be lightly changed by a stable, rational individual. It is recommended that you do not inform players of the penalty which will occur with alignment change, so that those who seek to use alignment as a means of furthering their own interests by conveniently swapping one for another when they deem the time is ripe, will find that they have instead paid a stern price for fickleness. It is a behavior modification to keep players in check. And yes, it's punitive, and yes, it's kind of artificial, but it's written in the core rules, which makes it easier to argue with at-risk populations than a house rule. If you tried to enforce this as your own house rule, if you had your own house alignment rule, you're going to get a lot more pushback rather than it's in the system. Mm-hmm. But they have all but stripped it out of later editions. Yeah. And what is in D&D for behavior modification? Nothing after this. Well, and this is back when they were saying it was evil, and it wasn't, because it had the alignment. We all played good guys and such.
In 5th edition, it's all basically challenge by choice. You can add that extra bit of role play by staying in your alignment.
Yep.
Otherwise, like my group has a bunch of Munchkin murder hobos, and we're all chaotic neutral, and it's stellar how great our morals are.
Yeah, it's a problem. Yep. So I think we've, took a while, but I think we kind of answered why there's some advantages. Again, I'd like to see a cleaned up version of this. I don't have the reason. I would love to take, if I had the resources, go through all the first edition rules that we like, including Dragon Magazine, do like the rules encyclopedia, put it all together, but do the Menser style intro for both play and GMing. Take all of those best aspects and make it a best first edition. That way, all cleaned up, orderly, organized. I'm not sure if I would keep the inversion of saving throws into hit being so weird. That is a mess. That stuff was a mess. The saving throws being one way and armor class the other way and to hit the other way, and that's kind of a mess.
That is,
and stat checks the other way, and that is stuff in third edition they cleaned up and standardized in a much better way. So,
but I just, and
I'd love to play Hackmaster one of these days.
And I have noticed, especially doing these drop-ins, that when alignment was an issue, stuff that players simply wouldn't do because your type of character just did not do that.
Yep.
They're doing that all the time now, and I mean,
that's why we're pushing AIM instead.
Yeah, and everybody's having fun, so I'm kind of letting it go.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Yeah, it is a symptom of the times.
Yeah,
the big cultural shift.
And
when we go through these phases of moral ambiguity and relative moralism and all that.
Well, and the thing is, if people were like outside watching this as a movie, they wouldn't identify with a single character because there's nothing.
Yeah. Which shows do you care about? So which shows engage you? You care about the characters. But you see these shows that come out with where they have these morally ambiguous characters where you don't really care because they're jerks. Mm-hmm. They're just self-involved, unless they're funny in some way or something. Yeah, that's a whole other. Yeah. Unless it's done humorously or parody or something like that. Some of these shows that come out where you just don't care what happens to there are no good guys or bad guys, and you don't identify with anybody, so you just don't care, and they just go around doing what they want. Now, there have been other shows where I haven't watched this one, but I've heard about it. Breaking Bad. Even though he's a bad guy, people like the character. They feel connected.
He didn't start out as a bad guy.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, he started out as
he slid down a path and such. But you at least connected with the character at first.
Yeah, but as things progressed, I was like, you know what? I want him to get caught. I want him to get shot. Okay. He's being an ass now.
Okay.
But in a way, it was good because it was a very realistic kind of devolution of his moral character.
The downward spiral. Yeah.
And
that can be interesting.
And the great thing that they showed was it wasn't just him.
It dragged those around him.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
The effect, and it was really, and not to spoil it for you, but the way they wrapped it up, definitely not a perfect, nice ending, but it was what the show needed to wrap it up in such a way that's like, okay, we went through all this crap. This is the right way it should end.
Okay.
Did you think that they're making a movie?
Why?
I don't know, but they are.
I guess maybe for people who can't, don't have the discipline to binge watch 6 seasons.
Well, and I'll give you another example. And again, this may be
happens after everything.
So, another example, and again, we're products of our generation. Right? There's a cohort effect here that happens, and Babylon 5 versus the remake of BSG, which I liked well enough. The remake of Battlestar Galactica, though it was grueling. Like doing a binge watch of the new BSG was brutal. It was kind of like binge watching Deadwood. It just grinds on you.
I think it was good for what they were trying to do.
They did some great stuff with it, but they made the characters a lot more ambiguous. Like everybody. There is no one, even Adama. Everybody. There's nobody to look to. Go. That was the person who really stood up, and the Cylons aren't really the bad guys, and the humans aren't really the good guys, and all of that got muddied. And then they did with a weird ending with Earth and such. But Babylon 5, on the other hand, people are struggling with their moral struggles. I mean, look at Londo. Oh my goodness. He struggles so hard not to go dark side. He knows he's going dark side. He has multiple opportunities to stop. He struggles with it, and he still goes slowly down the thing. And then he really does a really good thing with his sacrifice for his people when he gets enslaved and everything. But you root for these characters. You really care about what happens with them. You do know who the good guys and the bad guys are. Jakar at one point has a barroom brawl with some bad guys, and he's drunk. He's talking about there's no more. It was when one of the NPCs, one of the cast, not regular cast. This was a special cast. He thought he was King Arthur, and really it was about the battle of what happened with them in Bahrain. It was guilt, psychosis, etc. Anyway, they had this barroom brawl, and Jakar's like, this is what a battle should be like. There was no ambiguity. We were the good guys and they were the bad guys. And their heads fell on the floor with a satisfying thunk. But he's like, because he was in all these political battles of moral ambiguity and relativism and everything. And it was a very clear cut, we're the good guys, they're the bad guys. And that was a relief. And you get that kind of, with Babylon 5, that's part of what I find appealing. I can root for people, even the ones when they screw up and do stuff, you sympathize. There's sympathetic characters that you care about. And they can be totally flawed. But they're at heart good people who are trying to be good. And that makes a big difference then versus, there's no good, there's no evil, it's all amoral and relativistic and all that, which is where we're at, now. Yeah. That's harder to connect with. It doesn't motivate. It may be realistic, but these, Tolkien talks all the time about how fairy tale and stories and all these are supposed to help us learn far more than what reality will teach us and to strive to be far better than we are. So, and I'd like our games to do that, to help us strive and grow to be far better than we are. Yep. So, anyway, long night tonight.
Well, I will. I'll also bring my laptop next week, and
great.
And
and it's this Thursday you're on the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So next week you'll bring your laptop so we can figure out.
And I joke around about being a trog, but I mean, I understand a computer, but sometimes you might have to be a little patient with me first.
Understood.
But and the thing is, I'm also more of a if you show me how to do it,
experiential learning.
Yeah, it's a whole lot better.
That's what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point here, we got to get you back. We teach you drum circles and stuff because that used to be part of our regular training.
Oh,
that's part of our program.
So want to learn that stuff too.
We used to do it when we were gathering for the meetings while we were waiting for everybody. We'd spend the first half hour doing our drum circles. We used to do 4-hour meetings. We dropped them to 3 because it was getting too late for people like it is now. For you guys. Hope I didn't get you in trouble. I got Adam in trouble last night because he stayed until like 10:45.
Oh well.
Because we were talking. He wanted to know what he could level up and not level up in first edition. So.
Yeah. But no, no, it's absolutely fine, and like I told you, I love learning stuff, and I want to help out with as many things as I can.
Yep. But don't overload like I have.
Oh no. That's the thing. I want to. I don't want to just jump out in public, because I know it's not just I'm volunteering for something. I'm representing what you have built, and I want to do a good job of that.
Well, it's we.
Well, I know, but I've been doing this a couple months. You've been at this several years, so I don't want to.
I appreciate it.
You didn't realize the big goose egg you laid at PAX.
Right.
And, it's just I know that. Overall, I'm a nice, well-meaning person, but sometimes I get wrapped up in stuff, and sometimes I step on toes.
Yeah.
And what's really bad is sometimes I'm actually trying to be nice.
Sure, but just make it worse.
Yeah.
Yep, I understand that all too well. Have a great night, guys.
Yes,
good night, Riley.
We will see you.
See you Thursday.
Thursday. Yes.
See you then. Be well.
Holy cow, this is cool.
Yeah.